The southeastern United States, particularly Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, is home to over 26 million people. However, despite this substantial population, all major urban areas in these states are situated well inland, far from the Atlantic coast. This is a stark contrast to the northeastern states and Florida, where many of the largest cities are located along the coast. So why doesn't the East Coast, specifically this region, have a more concentrated population along the shoreline? In today's exploration, we'll delve into the factors that have shaped this unique aspect of the Southeast. While this part of the United States does indeed host millions of residents, the coastal region remains comparatively sparse. The reason for this discrepancy lies largely in its geography. The coastlines of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina are characterized by extensive sandy beaches, barrier islands, and vast salt marshes. These features, although scenic, pose challenges for large-scale human settlement. Barrier islands, while offering protection from the harsh Atlantic, are not stable enough to support significant infrastructure, such as major ports or industrial zones. As you move inland, the terrain gradually rises into rolling hills and low mountains. This transition brings about a new set of challenges and opportunities, shaping the economic and industrial history of the region. Historically, agriculture has been the region's economic backbone, particularly the plantation economy. Cash crops like tobacco, cotton, and rice thrived in Georgia and South Carolina, fostering a system that relied heavily on slave labor to manage these vast agricultural operations. The legacy of the system still influences the region today, particularly in terms of its demographic composition. As of 2021, the South was home to about 56% of the nation's black population, with Atlanta being the second largest hub for African Americans in the U.S., following New York City. North Carolina's geography is more varied, with coastal plains giving way to the Piedmont region and eventually the Appalachian Mountains. This shift in elevation allowed for the development of additional industries such as forestry and mining. Rivers such as the Savannah, which forms the boundary between Georgia and South Carolina, and the Cape Fear in North Carolina, have historically facilitated trade and transport within the region. However, unlike the Mississippi and St. Lawrence rivers, these waterways have not been large enough to support significant maritime trade. Thus, while these rivers have served local economic needs, they haven't been as integral to the region's economy as other major rivers in the United States and Canada. Another key factor is the region's vulnerability to hurricanes. Since 1990, 56 hurricanes and tropical storms have impacted this part of the East Coast, making it one of the most disaster-prone areas in the country. While Florida receives more hurricanes overall, it is due to its position between the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. The frequency of these storms has influenced settlement patterns and urban planning along the southeastern coastline. In summary, the combination of geography, history, and climate have shaped the population distribution along the East Coast, particularly in the southeast U.S. The region's geography has made large-scale coastal urbanization difficult, and while it remains home to millions of people, its population density along the coastline is significantly lower than other areas in the country. Let's dive into more of the factors that have contributed to this phenomenon in the next part of our exploration.
The southeast coast of the United States, encompassing Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, evolved differently from their northern counterparts. States like New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts benefited from deep, glacier-carved harbors, which played a key role in the growth of major urban centers. In contrast, the southeastern coastline lacks such natural harbors, making it more difficult for these states to develop as significant maritime trade hubs. This geographical limitation had profound effects on the region's economy. Without natural harbors, the Southeast was unable to engage in the transatlantic trade that spurred industrialization and urbanization in the Northeast. Instead, the region developed an agricultural economy focused on the cultivation of cash crops like rice, tobacco, and cotton, particularly in Georgia and South Carolina. The vast flat lands inland from the coast were ideal for large-scale plantations, where labor-intensive crops flourished. The hot and humid climate further made the region perfect for such agricultural endeavors. However, the plantation system also brought with it the dark legacy of slavery. The labor required to manage these large-scale agricultural operations led to the forced importation of African slaves, and this grim chapter in history shaped the region's demographic makeup. The Southeast is home to a significant African American population, and its legacy can still be felt today in the cultural and economic fabric of the region. As the Southeast developed, its economy became heavily dependent on agriculture, with plantation economies dominating much of the region's activity. In contrast, the Northeast diversified into a mix of industries, including manufacturing, shipping, and eventually technology. The southeastern states, however, became more economically specialized, with agriculture as the main economic driver. This lack of diversification made the region less attractive for urbanization, as plantations were largely self-sufficient and did not rely on the development of urban centers for labor or goods, unlike the manufacturing economies in the north. Rivers like the Savannah and Cape Fear served as important conduits for internal trade, but they weren't large enough to support maritime trade on the scale of rivers like the Mississippi. These rivers, while useful for local transport, could not compete with the larger river systems that facilitated international commerce in the Midwest and Canada. As a result, the Southeast economic growth remained largely rooted in agriculture. Today, the legacy of this agricultural economy is still evident in the Southeast, even as modern industries and technology begin to reshape the region. Cities like Atlanta and Charlotte have become major economic hubs, benefiting from transportation infrastructure that links them to the rest of the country and the world. These cities have seen significant growth and development, but the coastal areas remain less densely populated and less economically developed. In conclusion, the Southeast's history, shaped by geography and agriculture, has left an enduring mark on its population distribution and economic development. While modern cities like Atlanta and Charlotte have flourished, the coastal areas have remained relatively empty, a testament to the lasting impact of the region's historical focus on agriculture and plantation economies.
While the coastal regions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina boast rich natural beauty, they haven't attracted the dense populations found in the Northeast, Florida, or even the nearby metropolitan areas like Atlanta and Charlotte. Aside from historical factors such as the absence of natural harbors and an economy rooted in plantation agriculture, there are several contemporary reasons why these coastal areas have not experienced significant population growth. For one, cities and metropolitan areas tend to be the primary drivers of population growth. These urban centers offer a wide range of job opportunities, cultural amenities, and social services, which coastal towns in the Southeast often lack. Industries such as manufacturing, technology, and healthcare are more concentrated in large cities, and coastal areas, while important for tourism and agriculture, don't offer the same diversity of jobs. Tourism, fishing, and some forms of agriculture do provide employment opportunities in coastal areas, but these industries don't generate the same number of jobs as those in manufacturing or technology sectors. While areas like the Research Triangle, Raleigh-Durham, or Charlotte have become major corporate hubs, much of the economic activity has gravitated toward these inland centers. A key reason for this shift is the infrastructure, particularly in transportation. Major cities are often transportation hubs, offering easy access to both domestic and international travel. Atlanta, for example, has become a dominant transportation hub in the region, in large part due to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. This central location has helped Atlanta become a key player in global trade, technology, and business, attracting both residents and corporations. Cities like Savannah, Georgia, on the other hand, don't have nearly the same level of transportation infrastructure, which further hampers their ability to attract businesses and investment. While Savannah does serve as a port city, it does not have the same level of connectivity that larger cities like Atlanta enjoy, and this lack of access to global markets has slowed its growth. Today, the entire region of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina is home to over 10 million people. This is a considerable population, but when compared to the more developed regions of the East Coast, it remains relatively sparse. The largest metropolitan areas in this region include Columbia and Charleston in South Carolina, with populations around 820,000 and 800,000 respectively. Other notable cities such as Wilmington, North Carolina, population 520,000, and Savannah, Georgia, population 144,000, have smaller populations in comparison to major metropolitan centers like Atlanta, which has a population of 6.1 million. Interestingly, Charleston, which predates Atlanta by more than 150 years, was once considered the most important city in the Southeast. Its location on the Atlantic coast and its strategic position for trade and transportation should have made it the dominant city in the region. However, despite Charleston's head start, it was Atlanta's inland location that allowed it to become the dominant city in the Southeast. One key factor in Atlanta's rise to prominence was its transportation infrastructure. Initially founded as a trailway junction named Terminus, Atlanta's central location in the state of Georgia made it an ideal hub for transportation. This location allowed goods and services to be easily transported across the region and beyond, giving it a competitive edge over coastal cities like Charleston. In addition, the establishment of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, which became one of the busiest airports in the world, further solidified Atlanta's status as a major economic and transportation hub. Charleston, on the other hand, was geographically constrained by its location on a peninsula. Bounded by the Cooper and Ashley rivers, as well as the Atlantic Ocean, Charleston had limited room for growth. Its flat, low-lying terrain also made it more vulnerable to the effects of sea level rise and extreme weather, factors that may have deterred significant investment in the city. While both cities have rich cultural histories, Atlanta's position as a transportation hub and its more expansive geography ultimately allowed it to grow far larger than Charleston. Despite Charleston's historical significance, it has never experienced the same level of growth and urbanization as Atlanta, which by 1890 had already surpassed Charleston in population. This stark contrast between the two cities highlights the importance of geography and infrastructure in determining the economic success and population growth of urban areas. Ultimately, the development of the Southeast has been shaped by a variety of geographic, historical, and economic factors. While the coastal regions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina have much to offer in terms of natural beauty and cultural heritage, they have not attracted the same level of population growth as other regions due to their geographic limitations, lack of infrastructure, and the dominance of inland cities like Atlanta.